Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for April 4th. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and with me today is Mary. How you doing, Mary?
I'm doing great today. It was a busy day of feeds yesterday, so we've got some stuff to talk about. Played a little bit of renom roulette, just with all the the possibilities, and if all things go according to plan, we might have a blindside on our hands today.
Yes, very, very possible here as we are going to talk through everything that happened yesterday on the Big Brother Canada 10 live feeds. It was day 37 in the house, and oh boy, what a packed day this is. It's all gaming all the time here on Big Brother Canada 10, and they are not going to sit still. There's lots to get through here, so let's just jump straight in.
Let's jump in. Now, we've got all these breakfast bets, so those are clearly the most important thing going on
Clearly.
today. Yeah. I missed this. What was the bet about that everyone had where they have to make breakfast for each other?
I could not tell you.
Okay.
This
Unimportant, but Gino's making breakfast for Kevin. So you got that going for you.
Yes. So to set you all up here, we obviously have Marty as the HOH. He nominated Josh and Betty because of revenge. And Kevin ended up winning the veto. Kevin's goal is to convince Marty to backdoor Herman and take Herman out of the game to save both Josh and Betty and take out his biggest threat in Herman. He had spoken to Marty the night prior on the night of day 36, and Marty seemed pretty reluctant to go along with this, but he was perhaps going to consider the idea of testing Gino with the plan, because Kevin said that Gino is secretly working with Herman, and if you approach Gino with this, he will say no. So Marty was like, okay, then I'll go to Gino and see how he reacts. See if he just goes, no, we can't do that. So we start the day here today on day 37 with Marty talking to Helena. He tells her about his talk with Kevin the night before. He says that the plan is to go to Gino and tell him that Herman is the biggest competitor and that he should go up. He just wants to see how Gino acts. He says if Gino doesn't fight for it, then F that. He wants Betty and Josh out. Gino might be playing me, but after everything I did, I can't turn on him again, and I need Betty gone.
Yeah, and then if Gino asks, because the other part of this plan is that they would pull Josh down specifically and put Herman up that in the test plan that they're throwing by Gino, in order to also potentially flush Betty's secret power as well, which is definitely a real thing that exists.
Definitely. Kevin is going to be up in the morning. He's kind of like meditating with Gino, kind of chatting with Gino a couple of times. He goes to play pool with Josh, and then he goes, actually, hold on, this is a bad idea. My priority right now is keeping you and Betty safe. I've got to get to work. So he gets back over with Gino, and he's like, look, I'm down to do whatever with this veto. But he says, look, Gino, I am laser focused on this 5. This 5, we have the 5, the split vote 5, the 5 that Kevin worked very hard to make sure was only a 5. He says, I'm laser focused on this 5. Gino says, I agree. I think we should keep the 5 solid. Kevin's like, great. And he runs and he talks to Marty. And Marty tells him, okay, Kevin, I'm going through with the plan to test Gino, but let me tell you, there's no way I'm keeping Betty in this house. There's no way I'm going to stand in front of Canada begging to be given a chance to play in the veto, and then I go and backdoor someone. It's not going to happen, Kevin. And Kevin's like, I mean, Herman is a lot more likely to win HOH, though. And Marty's like, no, you don't understand. I've already had too many wishy-washy moments with my character on in front of Canada. How stupid would I look if I begged not to be backdoored and then I backdoored someone? And
You would
Kevin's
look
like,
like a gamer who's playing the game.
Kevin says, I think leaving Herman here makes you look more stupid.
Yes.
Straight up. And Marty's like, I can't do that. I can't do that. But
Yeah.
we will test Gino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the part of this also is that Marty says if Betty leaves, then Josh will be all alone, and so Helena can like pull Josh in over to their side is another part of this. Um
Mm,
Marty's talking about how he's going to be a shield for Kevin and Helena, who are apparently really bad at competitions as well.
yes.
Yeah.
Well,
And I mean Marty is crushing this, but it's ridiculous that we have this whole revenge plan off of something that was clearly not meant to be like a let's all make fun of Marty kind of moment. And then combined with Marty is just so stuck in his head about what Canada thinks and the perception of him. And I mean, the irony of the situation is Canada and everyone else watching is rolling their eyes more because of this concern.
pretty typical,
Yeah,
honestly. Kevin says, "Look, regardless of how Gino acts, he's more with us with Herman gone.
right.
So like Gino is more with us if we take Herman out. Marty says that's fine, but like whatever we find out from Gino, we'll stick it in our back pocket. We'll use it in the future. But I can't make this move. Marty says that he says, oh, by the way, though, what you told me about Josh is probably true. I do think he cares about me, but I do still think he could have put a stop to that whole situation. But I'm not scared of Betty. I don't think she can win competitions. And Josh, we don't need to worry about Josh either. He crumbles under pressure. He can't win any of these competitions. And so that's the plan. Marty's still gonna test Gino, but there's no chance that he's going through with this. He even tells the cameras after Kevin leaves, he said, I know I said I will repair things with Gino and I will stick to that. I will take him to the final four. And Kevin and Helena, they keep talking about how Herman is going to target them, and that sucks. But there's no way I'm standing in front of Canada saying what I said about the back door and backdooring Herman. There's no way I'm going to do that, Canada. Hopefully, by the end of this week, Betty is walking out of this house.
Right. And that's what happens, right? The rest of the day, nothing happens and
Yes.
everything's set. And the plan is just for Josh and Betty to go home. And Big Brother 10, pretty steady, boring season so far. So nothing changes.
Yeah. I mean, Marty, known for his decisiveness.
Yes.
Marty talks to Josh and he says, look, Josh, Kevin Martin, my favorite player, told me to trust my gut. I've been trying to do that. I just don't know how to feel about you. He goes on to explain how hurt he was and how difficult the position he's in because of the situation. And he's torn because Josh is the one that grabbed his arm and pulled him into that room. But his gut is telling him that he can trust Josh. He just really feels like it was a trap. He only remembers bits and pieces of it. Now, remember, this is Marty feeling upset that he feels like he got set up by Betty and to some degree Josh to vote Gino out when they were never planning to vote Gino out during the double eviction. He says, after what you told me about wanting to work with an older person, I really thought I could trust you. And Josh is like, I really think when you watch it back, you'll see that it was not a trap at all. It really wasn't. I really trusted you, Josh. I feel like what you did to me was it friggin' hurt.
You friggin' hurt me.
And Josh is like, okay, I kind of feel like you putting me on the block was like not cool either. I feel like you kind of used me as someone that was expendable. And Marty says, no, the only reason I put you up on the block, if there was one word, this is when he finally said, I've been referring to this for a long time. If there was one word to describe my HOH is revenge. All capital letters. I felt like a child this week. I almost broke my hand on this table. The whole week is revenge. And I know this is childish, but revenge is what I want this week. But the reason Betty needs to go is revenge. He says it about 5 times in the span of a minute.
So
with the hand motion every time.
Yes. So let's just get this straight here. Josh doesn't get to be hurt that because Marty thought that Josh and Betty were trying to trap him and he's going after revenge, that he now needs to be on the block.
Mary. Revenge.
Right. Revenge.
Revenge.
Yeah. It's so ridiculous. And this is very
No,
frustrating.
it's not ridiculous. It's revenge. This is what it's like talking to Marty. But
yes, I was going to say, it's frustrating because Marty won't let Josh really like get a word in edgewise to say his side or even talk about it, because he's just like, no, it doesn't matter. Is it?
Revenge.
Thank you. Yes, exactly.
He says, I need to get back at the people that tried to crumble my game. And Josh is like, why would I do that though? Why would I crumble you? And Marty literally goes, it was Betty. It was a plan to set me up. And Josh is like, how does that even make sense? How did those 5 people happen to come together in one room? Marty's like, but you grabbed me. You grabbed me. He's like, why would I do that though? What does that do for me? Why would I trap you?
And Marty fully admits to not remembering the whole scenario. Like he teleported into the Expedia room and had this, plot happen against him to ruin his game and frame him, which for anyone who doesn't remember is not even something that Gino is upset about for the vote that went down.
Yeah. So, why would I trap you? And Marty again is just like, he's like, again though, is it true that you're with me? And is it you or is it Betty? And I know you're close with Betty, and so Betty, so maybe you betrayed me. But I truly believe that Betty knew what she was doing. And Josh is like, that makes no sense. And Marty's like, no, not you, Betty, not you, Betty. And he's like, I think we can repair this once Betty walks out that door.
And Josh is like, well, if that's the cost you're willing to make. Marty's like, well, it's honestly, it's already happened. It's out of my hands now. And Josh is like, okay, well, if you're okay telling me that it's fine if I might go home. And Marty's like, oh, do you want to be off the block? It's just like, yes, of course. Of course, I would like to be off the block. I'll vote for however you want.
Yeah. He says, another thing, I don't want Betty in that jury. I see the way she stares daggers at me. If she's in that jury, she would never vote for me. I want Betty gone. But he's concerned because Betty might have a power. Josh says, I really don't think Betty has a power. And Marty's like, well, if it's made up, then it's her fault because that's what's making me want to do this. That's the thing that's making him want to do this.
Yes. Marty reminds me of someone from like a movie or a TV show or something. I can't put my finger on who it is. And it's going to continue throughout the day. But with all of his gameplay, it's like the person who continues to make very passionate declarations and moves and then constantly have to apologize for what he's doing and try to fix things. But it's like, but you keep apologizing and keep messing up over and over and keep doing these things.
Yeah, I mean, he keeps saying like, oh, and if I'm wrong, I'll apologize to you, but I'm not wrong. It's
like, what are we playing? Like Among Us? Like, oh, don't vote me out. You'll see how wrong you are.
Yeah. Okay. So in the meantime, Summer and Helena talk. Helena asks Summer if she trusts her. They had a conversation the day before as well, where they're trying to repair things after Helena flipped on them to evict Tanisha. Summer says, yes, I do trust you. I don't want to work with these guys. And Helena says, the guys are running things. And they both agree that ideally this week, that both Josh and Betty could stay. Summer thinks that Moose could go. We could get Moose on the block. Moose could go. We don't need Moose. They don't understand why Marty feels like he owes Gino something. It's so dumb. Summer would love for him to finish what he started and put Gino up on the block. But Helena kind of agrees with Kevin. I don't really know if that's going to happen. Summer wants to try to talk to Kevin to get him to try to convince Marty to maybe put up Moose or Gino. Helena kind of is like, or Herman. And Summer says, I'm not stupid. but I feel like I could win against Herman in the jury. But at the same time, I do want him in the jury. So it's pretty clear that from Summer's point of view, she would prefer Gino and then Moose and maybe then Herman on the block. But she does want to keep both Josh and Betty.
Yes. Yeah. So good to see that Summer is at least willing to get behind whatever potential backdoor plan there is. So then after his conversation with Marty, Josh is going to go and talk to Kevin and have this pretty much the whole day. Anytime someone talks with Marty, they immediately go to fill in everyone else with what was said in that conversation. So Josh asks Kevin if he thinks that Betty has a secret power. Kevin doesn't think so. There's a lot of talk from both Kevin and Josh about how upset Betty was after nominations and that they think that was real and therefore probably she doesn't have a secret power. And this is where we start getting more of Josh and Kevin talking about wanting that Herman to go up. And then Josh tells Kevin that he had a final 2 with Herman.
Yeah, so that we're missing a couple of conversations before this though.
Of course, the day
yes.
could not be straightforward.
Yeah, because there's some context that Kevin has a conversation with Herman first, but before that he has a conversation with Summer because Summer goes from Helena to Kevin because she was hoping to find Kevin to talk to him about
the Summer and Kevin conversation is almost identical to the Summer and Helena conversation as well, talking about pitching the idea that Gino would go up. Summer additionally saying again, like, finish what Marty should finish what he started, which is also pretty funny considering the fact that Marty's whole thing is like, no, I need to make it up to Gino.
Yeah, which is very silly. She wants to know where his head is at with the veto. He says his goal is to keep Summer safe, but also to try and save both Josh and Betty. She says again, Moose or Gino on the block would be great. He says Herman or Moose could go up. There's 0 chance he'll put Gino up. If you suggest that, he'll put you up. Like you can't, like, he doesn't think like us. Like he doesn't think logically. He's like, do you want my advice, Summer? She says, sure. He says, my advice is to apologize for something that you didn't do.
Yes. I did miss that part. Yep.
I don't think I can do that. He's like, listen, there's nothing you can say to convince him that you did not say his name, because they got into the fight when this happened.
Jess was lying. Jess was lying. Jess was lying.
Where he said that Jess told him that Summer pitched for him to be backdoored during Wendy's. She said that's not true. Kevin is suggesting just apologize. It doesn't even matter if you did it or not. Just apologize. He says the more you deny it, the deeper he'll dig. And she says, look, you don't know my relationship with Marty. That's all I'll say. He's like, that's fair. That's fair. She asks if he was willing to use the veto. He says he would like to, but only if Marty is willing to play ball. He will not use the veto if it means that Summer's going up. And she says, I appreciate that. So then Herman comes in, and Herman also would like to know where Kevin's head is at when it comes to using the veto. He's kind of trying to push, like, hey, don't use the veto, ideally. And they joke about, like, Kevin using it on Betty after everything they've been through. There's a lot of references to the Kevin Martin using it on Ika throughout the day.
Yes.
Kevin says that he doesn't think Betty has a secret power. Herman says, I think she does. Herman says he would nominate Betty just to flush it. And he thinks that Herman thinks that himself, Gino, Jace, or Moose would potentially go up if the veto were used. So hopefully, we can just keep things the same. Kevin's like, aren't you close with Josh though? And Herman's like, yeah, we're boys, but it's not like anything too deep. Like, I'm close with Gino, but like we just talk, we just hang out, play pool, like nothing game related. Like, again, like Herman is just like fully trying to be like, he's using the lines that we hear from these big alliances. We're just friends. There's nothing game. He says, and we don't always talk game, Kevin, but I just wanted to check in with you. And Kevin's like, hey, we got Jess out together, didn't we? And Herman's like, yeah, we did. And Herman says, I don't think the other vote was you, by the way. I think it was Helena. And Kevin says that, like, oh, Helena, because there's a whole thing there. And Kevin says, I didn't realize that you felt alone in this game, Herman. And Herman's like, I don't feel completely alone. I'm just working on relationships. Kevin says, all right, well, I guess I need to have conversations about this veto. He's like, all right. And so that's when he goes to Josh.
Yeah. So about the Herman and Kevin conversation, it's been stated a lot, like comparisons of what type of player Kevin is, what type of situation this is, because Herman is playing this more sort of new school structure kind of game, and then Kevin's in here just messing up all of Herman's plans, but doing it in a way that somehow no one is really on to him, even though, like we saw in the Summer and Kevin conversation, Kevin is very upfront about, like, he's not exactly hiding his game knowledge in these conversations, like with Summer telling her, hey, go apologize for a thing you didn't do, to Marty. And that's something that I think a lot of times in games, people who know that they have strategy don't want to necessarily like bandy that about, because they are afraid that people are going to be on to them for how smart they are, which is certainly something that can be a blowback. But it's just interesting that Kevin's perception, or like the people's perception of Kevin, is that he's someone that Herman feels comfortable coming up to on almost day 40 in the house and talking strategy with for like the first time, and telling him not to use the veto so that it'll work out for Herman. It's just very interesting watching this gameplay. I think this is what we always want, right? Like, the sort of the closest you get is when you have like sides in the house and there's two sides going against each other. But this is even more complex than that, because it's one person trying to play a sides type game and another person trying to play a chaos in the middle, back and forth type game. And so it's two types we don't normally see together, except for some of those really early seasons of Big Brother.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, and it is a war of these philosophies, and it's very, very fun watching it play out. We'll see how much longer it will play out for. So Kevin talks to Josh. Josh tells Kevin about his conversation with Marty. Kevin says, Josh, I think you need to lie and just tell Marty that Herman is coming for him. And Josh says, but then he'll tell Herman. And Kevin's like, doesn't matter. He'll be on the block. Josh is like, yeah, but Herman did make a final two with me. And Kevin's like, well, I mean, he's made one with everyone. He's got like 12 final twos. And you can tell that like this is news to Kevin, but he's also trying to like play it off. Like he's trying to play it cool here. And then he's like, I know you're close with him, but would you rather have Herman here or Betty here? And Josh says, Betty. And yeah, I think Herman would come for you and Helena anyway. Kevin's like, maybe, he was just in here pitching me to not use the veto. And Josh is like, whoa, really? He's like, yeah. Here, look, I think if we get Herman out this week, we are money. I think we can get the votes. I think it's great.
I love this. Everything is falling in Kevin's lap of like, oh, I need to turn Josh against Herman. How can I do that? Well, Herman just conveniently told me that he doesn't want me to use the veto to save Josh. Perfect. It's also like, it reminds me of the part where Josh told Kevin he had a final two. It reminds me of like when someone tells you some sort of gossip that you don't want to seem embarrassed for like not having known. So you sort of play along as if you knew. And then you're like, yeah. And not only did I know that, but like everybody has a final two with Herman, right? Like, yeah, bet you didn't know that.
Yeah,
so,
that's very much the vibe of that interaction. So Kevin says, should I just use the veto? Like, even if we can't make this happen, like, I don't want to expose us. And Josh is like, actually, I had an idea about that, because Marty was talking about when Kevin Martin used the veto on Ika. Like, maybe we could do something like that, where like we are able to, fake some kind of, fight or something, but you still use it on me because you're chaos. And Kevin is like, yeah, maybe. Kevin also talks about how dumb it is to base your game on how you think Canada will perceive it, because you never know how Canada is perceiving you, which, thank you, Kevin. He says, I really do think, though, I think you should just tell Marty that Herman is coming for him, which he is. Hasn't he told you that? And Josh is like, Kevin's like, who cares? Josh is like, okay, let me think on it.
Yeah, it's so fun watching Kevin. It's like you watch it and you're excited about it, but then you're also like, man, I wish it was me playing this way. Being able to be this type of person. Because, Kevin is trying really hard and putting in a lot of work. And like you mentioned with the pool earlier, refusing to get sucked into the like, let me just relax for the day thing. Like Kevin is like, gotta go, gotta do my rounds and really try things. But Kevin is also sort of playing with this mindset of like, we're here. Might as well throw everything at the wall in a strategic way where, hopefully my outcome still comes out. But also, like, when it comes down to making these decisions, like, Kevin's going to go back and forth throughout the day. But I think in Kevin's mind, he really feels like, man, if there's any way I can sort of be sure and use this veto, I want to use the veto just for the sake of using it as well.
Yeah, I mean, how many times do we watch players just lay down and die?
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, literally at the start of this day, Marty is telling the cameras, there's no way this is going to change. Kevin does not want to give up. Betty and Moose are going to talk about targeting the showmance next week. There's a lot of talk about that. Herman and Summer are going to compare notes a little bit about conversations they've had so far. They both talk about talking with Kevin. Little flirty going on there. This has been talked about in the house a little bit, that they're a little flirty at times. She's sitting in his lap as they talk. She starts talking about her love language. This might be as consequential as Herman and Steph, or it might turn out to be a big thing this week. We will see, but it's something worth noting.
I'm like whatever the opposite of a love expert is for Big Brother. Like, none of the people I ever want to get together. So
what are you gonna do?
Yeah, well.
Kevin's gonna go to Jason Gino. He's tried it with Marty. Now he's gonna try with Jason Gino. If he can get Jason Gino on board, then Marty should fall pretty easily. So he pitches the Herman plan to them. And this is obviously a risky play. They've been trying to build. Gino had a talk with Herman about building a final three just the day before. They haven't locked anything in yet, but it's definitely there. And so this is risky business. But Kevin is going to talk with Jason Gino. He says, look, Betty is easy to get out. Herman, way more likely to win and take out one of the five. Remember how I said I was laser focused on the five? That was totally to not set up this conversation, but he's going to come for the five. He said, I'm locked in on the five. I don't care how much they hate. I don't care how much you two hate me in 20 days. I'm getting this 5 to the 5. That's what I care about. And if we take out Herman, you can really work on pulling in Moose. You have a great relationship with Moose. And Moose could do anything. Herman won't make any mistakes. If Herman takes a shot, he's taking the shot at us. Moose could put up Betty. He's a wild card. He's predictably unpredictable. And that's a good thing for us. He says, and look, I think there are two people that beat anyone in the finals, Herman and Josh. Josh, easy to get out later. This might be the only chance to take out Herman. And sure, maybe Herman is targeting me or Helena first, but once we go, you two will be next. Gino, you're a huge target in this house. Obviously, everybody's talking about Gino. He's so smart. He's so handsome. He's such a threat in this game. But with the 5, we can protect you. We can make sure that none of us end up on the block together, and we can keep us all safe. And look, I'm also concerned that Herman and Moose are two people that would maybe want to cut Jace before they cut Gino, thinking that they could pull Gino in and get Gino to do their dirty work. I'm thinking about that. And so Gino has mostly just been listening this whole time, is like, this game is very, very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it was I would say out of all the conversations Kevin has had so far this morning, it was the most sort of risky conversation because of how close or how much Gino and Jace have been trying to make things work with Herman. He's making a lot of good points. I feel like it was the only conversation where I'm like, you're pushing a little hard, but got planted the seeds, got some things out there, because initially Gino and Jace were really on team, like, let's get Betty out. And I think the biggest help there is the idea of like, well, we could take Betty out whenever, and if Betty stays on the block, then the power would probably be flushed regardless, so it's probably fine. I find this idea interesting about the like who would cut Jace before Gino, because I think it's interesting that Kevin approaches the two of them with that. I wonder if like Kevin had just approached Jace with that idea and then let Jace sort of talk with Gino separately, because that's something that really mostly benefits Jace. Like, I don't know, is Gino planning on going to the end with Jace or thinking about cutting her eventually too?
I think Gino wants to go to the end with Jace. I think you're right. I think in most circumstances you want to approach the person who has the incentive of like, hey, Gino's cool with Moose and Herman, but they're going to cut you to work with him, and then you can hopefully trust Jace to go to Gino and be like, hey, I don't know if we can work with Herman or Moose. I think the problem in this particular instance is that you're expecting Jace to do something with Gino. You know what I mean? Like, Jace doesn't do that with, like, Gino says, this is where we're going, and Jace says, okay. So, I'm not sure that we're, however, I do think that there's a part of Gino that's like, well, I don't want, the guys to come after Jace. Like, I'm supposed to protect Jace.
So maybe it's sort of more reverse from I want Jace to have more self-preservation instincts than she has. But I think I'm always just a fan. I'm always a fan of the like go to one person as opposed to a group. But they're such a pair anyway that it kind of probably doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. I think you also have to be careful of like thinking that you can talk to a showman's individually and not expect them to sort of be like, well, Kevin is trying to get this in my head.
Right.
You know what I mean? So very, very interesting. Something that Kevin does here that he's also done with Josh and Helena. I think this is something he does very well. Maybe one of his more effective traits in the game is that he manages the carrot and the stick very well. He manages the fear and the greed very well. He's able to put in just the right amount of, look, you're a huge threat in this game. People talk about it. Like, people are obviously going to come for you. You're in danger. Putting a little bit of fear into people. And then here's the solution. It's the 5. The 5 can keep you safe. He did the same thing with Josh and Helena, telling them, look, you're doing great right now, but the game, we're going to run out of runway. People are starting to talk about us. People are starting to catch on to what we're doing, playing into their deepest fears, and then saying, here's the solution. Come with me. Do what I want to do, and you'll be safe. That's essentially what he's saying, but he's doing it in a way that doesn't seem so, Terminator-y.
Yeah, but what's so funny about that is that he does that, and then he also tells Josh, like, oh yeah, just lie to Marty about Herman coming after you or whatever. It's fine, it's a lie. And it's like, does Josh not think maybe Kevin lied to me about that's
no, because they have such a good relationship.
Right. And I mean, I don't think any of it is really like a full lie. It's more like Kevin just taking like tiny things and making them seem a little bigger.
So Josh is going to go and talk with Herman, and Herman tells him, he goes, hey, so I talked to Kevin. He doesn't seem to have much interest in using the veto.
Yeah, definitely wasn't me telling him not to use it. Definitely not that.
Herman falls straight into this trap. Herman says, Betty really does have a power, right, Josh? Josh says, I really don't think so. Like, she was crying with me last night. I really don't think so. Herman says, I don't know. I have a feeling we're in for a surprise tomorrow. And Josh goes, with Kevin? He's like, no, with Betty. Oh yeah. I don't think so. Herman says that he's been working on Gino and Jace to make sure that they keep Josh once the veto is not used. That they are the key votes here. He thinks they're assets in the game because they're because the bigger threat is sitting in the HOH right now. He's like, don't you think, Josh? Who would you want to take a shot at? Like Kevin, Marty, Jace, Gino? What are you thinking, Josh? And Josh is like, I agree. Big threat in the HOH. Herman says, well, let me tell you, I've been looking at Kevin and Helena, but I'm thinking of maybe taking a shot at the big guy up in the HOH. I don't know, maybe. I'm really annoyed with Kevin and Helena, how wishy-washy they are. I will not stand for there being just wallflowers doing nothing in this game. I will not stand for them being in like top 6. At least Kevin won a POV, but like, no. That's not having it. Not with these kinds of players.
Right. Kevin, the classic wallflower who's doing nothing in this game. How is Kevin doing this? Where that's the perception. That's amazing.
Well, it's Herman's perception, yeah.
It's funny. It's funny. I really wanted when Herman was talking to Josh about like, who do you think's the big threat going after Marty? I really wanted Josh to be like, what? You think I'm stupid? You think I'm gonna just say who my targets are? I really
exactly what he was thinking.
I know. It was pretty funny.
So, all right. So Marty's gonna talk with Gino. Here comes the big test. Here we go. Marty says, look, Gino, think about who's likely to win in HOH next week. It's not Betty. Who's the most dangerous one? Think about it. Because Josh crumbles under pressure. Can't win a competition. I would never trust him in a game to score the winning point. I don't know what sport he played, but whatever it is, he's terrible. This is ridiculous to me. It's so funny, and I tweeted this out, how much this is coming up. The fact that Josh has come second in like almost every competition has somehow convinced some people in the house that he's terrible at competitions, which is ridiculous. The last time we thought somebody
second
crumbled,
place is first loser.
There
not
you
first
go.
or last.
The last time we thought somebody crumbled under pressure in competitions was Paris,
Right.
because she kept coming close and then seemingly crumbled under pressure. And Paris is like the clutch queen. Like she wins absolutely when she needs to at the end. You can't ever say, oh, they just crumble under pressure. They can't win. That's a ridiculous thing to say. But it's what Marty believes. And he says, look, I think Herman is the guy to take out. What do you think about that, Gino? And Gino says, Moose is really strong, too, don't you think? And Marty says, yeah, but Herman is much stronger. He's the guy I would trust to take a clutch shot in a game. And I know that Herman's not coming for us, but I don't want to give Herman a chance to win and take a shot at all. I don't want to give this guy too much of a chance in the game. Their odds are a lot better with him gone. And Gino says, all right, yeah, it's your HOH. That's what you think is best. I'll support you. It sucks to leave Betty in the game and let her get to jury, but that's the only thing. That's the only thing, and it doesn't really matter that much. So
yeah, it seems like Gino is assuming here that in this scenario, Betty would be taken down. That seems to be like initially, just when he's counting the votes, it seems like he's including Betty's vote in that.
Yes. Well, Marty does say it would be Josh that we took off, just in case Betty has a power or something. So Gino not fighting back, passing the test. All right. Well, I guess Gino's gonna pass this test, and the plan will go in place, and we'll still take out Betty probably. Marty says, I do remember that time when Herman, we were working with Herman and Kyle was in the game, and then I said something to Herman about Kyle, and then Tanisha said it back to me. Like, he clearly ratted me out there. And yeah, just like, who would take out Betty? Betty's the worst move ever. And it's like, wow, Marty's really laying in on this test, huh? I thought he already kind of got what he wanted here.
Marty, you are accidentally convincing yourself of doing the fake plan. Like this test. See, this is a big brain move. The test wasn't really for Marty to pitch to Gino to see where Gino's at. It was really for Kevin to say, if I can just get Marty to talk about this plan enough times, maybe Marty will just go along with it.
Gino says, yeah, we did say at the start of the week that one of the strong three on the other side has to go. And Marty's like, so you're okay with this? And Gino says, I was trying to build something with Herman, but yeah, Yeah,
I guess we'll
we
just
can.
build with Moose instead. Yeah.
Yeah, we can do something else. And Marty says, yeah, I mean, Helena and Kevin have talked about you being close with Herman. You should probably let them know that you're serious about this 5. We don't want them doubting anything, right?
Now, do you think that Kevin having had the conversation with Gino and Jace first helped this?
Definitely. I mean, I think that it added an element of like this is probably already a thing that's happening, because again, like, as we know, if we say that Jace is very willing to sort of like just like do whatever, Gino is also a player that often will just do whatever. I mean, he completely laid down with the Kyle situation, and if you present enough force with Gino, he will go, okay, how do I make this work then? He's not going to fight you too hard, which is why Kevin wants Gino in the house over Herman, who will fight you and try to get his way. And so I think the 1-2 punch here is in the fear of it too. Like, I don't want the 5 to turn on me. If they're doubting I'm too close to Herman, I was too close to Kyle. Just got to push the people I'm close to away if other people don't like it. And so Gino is like, yep, I'm down. Let's do it. Let's have some more conversations about it. Let's make this happen. And then Marty says, you know what, too? This will be good payback for Jess. And so there we go. Gino definitely passes the test. But it also seems like Marty's like, this was a very long conversation. Marty seems pretty into this idea all of a sudden.
It makes me wonder, like, what Gino's plan for winning the game is. I mean, if Gino's at the end with Jace, like, there you go. But it just seems like Gino's playing kind of and he has reason to after everything that went down with Kyle, but he's doing the opposite of Kevin. Like, he's playing a scared game instead of playing a game where you're like, I'm just going to keep trying. It seems like he's playing a game where, okay, I'm just going to try and minimize the amount of damage I'm going to do with other people, which is difficult to do that. And then also try to convince people at the end that you were really active in getting yourself to the end in a particular way.
Yeah, and it's also harder to get to the end if you aren't able to shape the game in a way that benefits you. You're relying on a lot of luck. If you let somebody else take control of the game and just hope that like their game shape allows you to get to the end, right? So
because very few times, this seems like this would be obvious, but very few times is someone going to pitch continual moves that somehow benefits you more than it benefits them. I mean,
exactly.
it happens occasionally when that person pitching the moves isn't playing well, but for the most part, whatever somebody else is pitching to you probably benefits them more than it does you.
Yeah. So Josh comes by to talk to Kevin. Kevin's like, what you thinking? Josh says, I just love seeing you, Kevin. You're so right. It's amazing. I feel so lied to by him. And Kevin's like, who? Herman. Everything you told me, he tried to spin it another way. He just tried to act like you had no interest in using the veto, like he was trying to get you to use the veto. And he was like, oh, and Kevin was questioning how close we are. And Kevin's like, he's good, right? I mean, he's probably the only person that could beat you in the finals. And Josh said, I would love to sit next to you, Kevin. And Kevin says, I would love to lose to you, Josh. I'd happily take that 20K, give you a big hug, maybe a kiss. It would be great.
Yeah.
In case you've forgotten, Kevin does also plan on cutting Josh somewhat soon because he's too big of a threat. But this was cute. Marty is going to talk to Helena. He lets her know about the plan. He says, yeah, so we're doing it. Doing what? We're back doing Herman. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
Yeah. He says Gino was down. I pitched it to Gino. Gino said yes. He said he agreed with it. It was smart. So yeah. And in order for it to work, we needed Gino. So we've got Gino. And look, I told Gino I'm bringing him to the Final Four, but I want you to know I'm bringing you to the end, Helena. She's like, this is great news. She tells him, look, you need to fix things with Summer. Summer could be an important vote. You want to make sure you repair that relationship. He goes, she effing played me though. And you know, my biggest thing is that I did stand in front of Canada talking about back doors. Now, nobody should be backdooring me. Helena's like, God, you don't need to worry about Canada. You know Canada loves you. He's like, yeah. And you're thinking about it. It's not that I'm against back doors in general. It's that like you shouldn't backdoor a 43-year-old man. That's what I said. That's what you shouldn't do. So yes. And I was just testing Gino, but Gino thought it was a good idea. So let's do it.
Oh, so much to unpack here. Yeah. Right. Backdoors are only bad when they're against 43-year-old men. But 43-year-old men can perform backdoors against those people. That's perfectly fine. As we know, that's how the checklist goes. I think it's interesting. Like, Helena does have this right read on Marty of like not trying to convince Marty that Summer was not doing what he thought she was. Although I would love to be in Marty's head, because like he seems to sort of know after he talks enough that like not everything he says completely follows his own logic of what he thinks it says. But at the same time, he doesn't ever really seem to have like an epiphany moment where he's like, wait, maybe Summer, maybe Jess was lying. Like maybe Summer, like it's not really quite that. It's more like just talking enough about it to where it can eventually kind of come back around to like, maybe everything wasn't 100% what I thought, but it's never like oh, maybe I was in the wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's very much what he does, and he'll be again like, and maybe I'll watch it back and then I'll apologize, but no, I don't think I was. No, Jess wouldn't lie to me. They were like my sister, in this game, and stuff like that. So he's gonna go and talk to Summer, and he says, "Look, this is just a game. I got heated. I hit my hand on the thing." But I want to be friends with everyone outside of this house. You know, we always had Smarty. Smarty was always a thing. And Summer says, look, when you watch it back, you will see that I did not pitch you at Wendy's. And Marty's like, look, I just want to rebuild. Let's make Smarty 2.0. I promise you, you're not going up this week. I hope that you'll vote my way this week. I hope that you won't put me up next week. We can keep up the act like we still don't like each other. Smarty 2.0 though. Let's do it.
Yeah. And Summer, to her credit, like, you know, Kevin's not always completely right here. Like, I think Summer does know that her relationship with Marty is different than maybe Kevin thought it was, because she does manage to, after he pitches the Smarty 2.0 again, get her point out a little bit, which is like how she felt upset about what he was doing as well. And Marty's can be an emotional guy, so I think it understands that feeling from her side. So she doesn't completely just like roll over and say yes, like, yeah, I was in the wrong, but let's continue. I think Summer realizes here, like, if Marty is going to want to build something with me, I can kind of have that conversation a little bit. But at this point, Marty's kind of like, look, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter what happened, which way, one way or the other, you know, that what the conversation was like, let's just leave it in the past and move forward.
Mm-hmm. So they're on track to repair things there. In the meantime, Helena and Kevin talk. She lets him know, like, listen, Marty's gonna do this. They talk about how great of a job they're doing hiding their relationship. Helena's like, Marty literally thinks I'm taking the final two. It's pretty funny. Kevin says, thinking about like who could we actually beat, because obviously we're not beating Josh. In the end, I'm thinking maybe somebody like Jace, maybe we could bring to the final three. Helena says, Jace does really like you. He says, yeah, she bawled her eyes out when I didn't pick her in the safety chain. And Helena says that Betty told me that she if she had won the veto, she was going to use it on Josh. Kevin's like, are you serious? Very funny watching these two.
Yeah. So do you think, like, I get the feeling that it's pretty genuine. Do you think that Kevin really wants to go pretty much as far as possible with Alina?
Yes, I think so. I think that is the intention. Now, like, would he actually bring her to the final two
Too,
chairs?
especially if Jace was the third person there.
I think he would if he felt he could beat her, and would not if he felt like he couldn't.
Yeah.
But I think right now he just feels like I think right now he feels like she's probably one of the easier people to beat in the house, which is not the worst idea in the world at this time. They've been playing similar games, but he's been a bit more out front, and he probably would beat her right now. But she does have a lot of good relationships, so it could be dangerous. We will see. I do think Helena would also cut Kevin, by the way. Yeah, I think the reverse is also true.
Yeah. But I think it always seems like when they talk that they have at least no immediate plans to cut the other person. They enjoy working together. Now, is this where my notes got slightly out of order here? Is this where Marty goes to apologize to Betty and Josh? Yeah. Okay, great. just more fun. And remember, this is only just a few hours after Revenge.
Revenge.
Oh,
look, guys, I wanted revenge, but Marty's going to apologize. He runs through the whole. There was the revenge, and that I'll grab my arm. But I want you to know that I'm sorry for how I handled things. Betty also apologized. I acted inappropriately. I'm sorry. You weren't effing rude. It's okay.
Yeah. And Marty's like, well, I'm just not good at this game. Like, strategically, it just doesn't. Yeah, you don't need to tell us, Marty. I think we know.
Kevin is going to talk with Helena and Gino. They talk about Herman going up. They talk about the plan. Gino says it does make sense. Helena's like, "You really okay with this, Gino?" Gino's like, yeah. Herman's on the other side. I'm with the 5 guys.
Right.
I'm with you.
Don't question me. Yeah.
Marty talks to Helena again. Helena's like, Gino's in. He's down. I just talked to him. He said he was good. Marty's like, all right, perfect. Let's go. He talks to Kevin. They lock it in. All right, this is the plan. We're going to use the veto on Josh. Herman is going to go up on the block. And then hopefully they've got, Kevin says he thinks it will be a 6-1 vote with maybe Moose voting to keep Herman as long as Gino and Jace stay on board. Kevin says, and you can tell Josh that you convinced me to use the veto to help build that relationship up more again. And Marty's like, okay, yeah. And so Summer and Helena talk. Summer tells Helena about her conversation with Marty. Helena apologizes again for the T vote. Summer says, it's okay. We need to move past that. We need to move forward. They hope that they can keep their relationship under wraps moving forward. Summer also talks to Betty after that and says, hey, Betty, I think we need to work with Helena. I understand that you hate her because of the T vote, but just think of her as like an annoying coworker. And Betty's like, I don't know. I don't know about that. But they both still agree that one of the showmans needs to go next week. Lots going on.
Now, the only thing that was a little confusing to me was in the Helena and Summer talk, Helena asked Summer to not tell Marty that Helena has Summer's back.
Yes.
Why does that matter?
Keep it under wraps. We don't want to expose the relationship. And Summer's like, who do you think I am? Of course, I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, especially because you tell Marty anything, Marty tells everybody, and then also switches to the fake plan. That was the real plan to begin with.
Jace is gonna do some things here. Kind of interesting.
Yeah. Wow.
Jace is gonna go to Josh now that she knows the plan is to get Herman. They're very excited about this plan. All right, we're doing big moves. Herman, let's go. Jace is gonna go to Josh and be like, so Josh, we can work together. I think I want to make sure you stay in this game. That's I want to work on this. So many people trying to reap the rewards of the moves that are being made by others, but they're trying to do it far too late here.
I thought this was great. Yeah. Jace is like, maybe in the coming weeks we can work together and maybe maybe pull Betty in. And of course, like,
Yeah.
but me and Betty were on the block. But maybe if there was someone else who went up,
Maybe we can work on something. Yeah,
maybe we can work.
she's gonna go to Betty later in the night and be like, "Oh, Betty, I've been pushing Kevin hard. Like, I really want him to use the veto." Betty's like, "Oh, really?" Because at this point,
Aw.
Betty knows.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for doing that. Uh,
Yeah.
so,
But
Marty's
again,
gonna,
I
yeah,
applaud. I do want to say I applaud the effort. I am never going to be mad
yes,
at someone for at least trying. Like, it is funny when it's not working and that everybody already knows where the plans originated. But like, Jace, congrats on at least like going out there. Better than not trying to take the
yes.
reward.
Yes. Marty's going to talk with Moose. He lets Moose, he's not going up on the block. He kind of fills Moose in a little bit on what might happen. He also talks to Herman and keeps Herman in the dark, says that he doesn't feel like Kevin will use the veto. He doesn't want Kevin to use the veto and that Herman should be good. After this conversation, Herman goes into the bedroom, talks to the cameras, and he says, all right, unless Kevin wants to throw away everything he has in this game, Kevin's not using the veto. Worst case scenario, Betty uses her power, but even if she does, I should be good. It should be Summer that goes up, not me. And who knows? Maybe I've got a surprise for Marty next week. Not a good surprise. I would be breaking my deal, but who cares? I just think I'm set up really well. People are going to be targeting others before me right now. I think I might win this game.
Oh, and we know how that's going to be edited into the show. It's it's sad. It's funny. It's funny that like I wish he was saying this to someone else so that they could use this for Marty and be like, "Look, he's not even going to hold his deal to not go after you next week." Although I guess Herman doesn't say that he's going to backdoor Marty. He might just front door Marty. It's fine.
I think the intention would be a backdoor.
Yeah, so even worse. It's a funny clip to watch. It's out there on Twitter too if you want to look for that one. Just when he's like, I'll have to surprise Marty, not a good surprise. I guess but then I'd have to break my deal. Ha, who cares? So it's fun to watch people think that they're being maniacal. But yeah, poor Herman. And then Herman's gonna talk to Josh after this as well. About thinking that if there is a renom anyway, that it would probably be Summer because of the fight between Summer and Marty as well. Oh no. Oh no, I think Taran's frozen, or maybe it's me. Well, this is fun. Ah, man, now it's just me again. And unfortunately, I don't have the Jacob Jones quality to do something ridiculous. So, okay, I'm just going to continue. Herman and Josh are going to talk. And like I said, Herman tells Josh that he thinks that if a read-on happens, it will be Summer. And Herman tells Josh that he told Marty that if he's going to pull something this week, that all Herman wants is for Marty to tell him. So, yeah, I got the keys. I got the keys now. Now we're talking about whatever I want to talk about. Because Herman tells Josh, that he's still riding for their number 2, and because of also Kevin earlier, talking to Josh about how Herman has all these final 2s. Josh is like, "Don't you sure you don't have a final 2 with Betty, right? No, that's not happening." I'm not gonna get up and do a swivel chair pivot, pirouette. I don't think so. Josh confirms that he doesn't have a final 2 with Betty either. and that he really doesn't think that Betty has a power. And this is something that I'm not sure about, like, strategically, if Josh should be trying to tell Herman that it that Betty doesn't have a power, because I mean, if Josh truly believes that, and it seems like he does, then it's easier not to lie than it ever is to lie in these scenarios. But at the same time, if Herman is so set on sort of wanting to use the idea that Betty has a power to keep the noms the same, it's sort of like Josh is kind of constantly going against that thought process. Oh, okay. Now Taran's back. Great. I'm sorry. I didn't even. I don't hear you. Not quite yet. See you. At least we got Taran's visually back.
Hello.
There we go. Now I gotcha. Yeah, it took me a long time to realize you were frozen. I thought you were just very pensive.
My computer just full on crashed, and it even then I had to wait for the percentage to be like, oh, we crashed. Get to 100% before we restart.
Oh my gosh, that's the worst.
What a nightmare.
That's the worst. Well, I was mostly talking through the Herman and Josh conversation after this, so I don't know if there was anything else you wanted to talk about before that conversation after the cam talk.
Yes. So yes, they Herman talked to the cameras, and then we got to if I can find the place in my notes, because there are so many notes from the day.
Yeah, I'm on line 275, so I don't know what line you're on.
Kevin did talk to Betty. He said he really wanted both her and Josh to stay. He wants to use the veto, and he's working on something to make sure Marty does the right thing with the replacement. He also lets Betty know that Herman tried to get him to not use the veto. Talked to him for the first time in weeks to try to get him to not use the veto. Betty's like, what? Really? Very incriminating stuff from Marty there. Marty also talks to Josh and lets him know that the veto will be used on him and that he's putting up a target. Josh asks about whether Betty should know. Marty's like, yeah, if you trust Betty. Josh says, thank you, Marty. Josh goes to talk to Betty. He lets her know about the conversation with Kevin, or she lets him know about the conversation with Kevin, that Herman tried to get Kevin to not use the veto. We can't trust Herman. Josh says, well, let me tell you about Herman. Think the veto might be used and we might be in an okay spot here. So things are looking good. The plan is continuing to go in place here.
Yeah, it's great. Betty is like, oh my gosh, Josh, if this happens, you're my actual bestie for somehow helping this happen. It's also interesting because this is the perfect time to make a blindside move like this from a lot of people's perspective. Like, when you look at Kevin, has almost no blowback. Think about the cam talk that Herman was having, where he says, oh, if Kevin doesn't do this, or if Kevin uses the veto, he's going to blow up everything he's built in this game. And he's more talking about thinking that Marty doesn't want Kevin to do this, and so it would ruin that. But realistically, at this point, Kevin and Herman probably have like the loosest connection, at least from the way that it's been going so far. So it's not even a scenario where Kevin is like trying to backdoor someone that he's really tight with, and that's going to have a lot of blowback to him personally. So it works out really well. Yes.
So Josh is going to talk to Kevin. He lets Kevin know. So Betty knows about the Herman plan. Kevin's like, what? She's Herman's gonna find out. And he's like, I think she's cool. I think she'll be fine. Because Betty also Marty talked to Betty and let Betty know that both her and Josh would be safe this week. Betty is amazed. She's like, wow, this guy's saving me? Are you serious? She's so happy she found Josh in the game. He's her best friend, and she's so happy. He's like her Braden. It's maybe not.
Yeah. Also, if you're ever going to make a comparison, don't say that the other person is the person who did better. Like, she says, he's the Braden to my Austin. don't you want to be the Brayden in that scenario?
She wants him to go further than her, so I think,
yeah, there's that. All I know is that I was playing a game once where someone kept telling me that I was the Sandra to their Courtney, and I was like, perfect, sounds good. I'll win. Sounds good.
There you go. Helena is going to talk with Jace a little bit about Summer. Jace talks about Summer throwing comps. Jace wouldn't mind maybe targeting Summer at some point soon. Helena's going to run that back to Kevin. Marty, Jace, and Gino come together and confirm again, hey, we're doing the Herman plan. They're very excited. Big move. It's happening. Kevin's going to get a bit Kevin-y.
Weird. A little
here
bit.
in the night. Yeah. I got a clip for you to help.
I was hoping you had this.
Maybe understand exactly what I mean by Kevin getting Kevin-y. Kevin is alone in the pantry, looking at the wall of prices and
how much is that? How much is that? How much is this? How much is that? How much is this? How much is that? How much is this? How much is that? How much is that? How much is that? How much is this? How much is that? How much is this?
it's a lot of that.
The clip goes on for 2 minutes, and that's not the whole thing.
No. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to play you I'm not going to play you. I mean, that was a lot. And he just keeps going. And that's not the only weird thing he's doing. He's being Kevin throughout the night. He's, I think, very excited, very pumped up about the move that has been pulled off here.
Yeah, is this a giveaway?
Yes.
Yeah. It's like,
no.
no.
I say this all the time. Whenever people are people are very rarely able to hide when they've pulled something big off. They're always, and it doesn't always show in this way, but it usually shows in like they feel like big man on campus. Like they start walking around like, hey, how's it going, everyone? Just jumping into groups like, man, love being here in the house, don't ya? Man, this is such a great experience. It really, people really give themselves away.
I never thought I'd see you go, hey, how's it going?
For Kevin, it manifests in,
how much is that? How much is that? How much is this? How much is that?
I don't understand. I was trying to make sense of it. I was like, is this like a Price is Right thing? Or is this just like a earworm? I don't know.
Yeah.
It was great though. It was fun.
Yes. So I honestly, I would imagine that we get some of this on the episodes, but there's so much to cover that who knows, but definitely some interesting stuff there. And that's pretty much the night here. As we head into the morning, the plan is still in place. I believe the feeds have been down for the ceremony since the update. They went down during the update. Herman did spend some time with Marty this morning, just generally chatting, but did not get any any real game talk out. And as of right now, as of when the feeds cut, Herman did not learn that he was going up, and will likely be blindsided, or is likely being blindsided as we speak, and will end up on the block next to Betty.
And Herman's a good player. I don't relish the fact that he's getting blindsided here, especially because I believe everybody else in the house knows that he's being blindsided. Although I guess that does speak a bit to your actual position in the game. If none of your allies will even tell you that it's happening, it's not just for Marty in this scenario. So it's unfortunate, but it's exciting. So. Blind signs have been ruined in the past, but as of this morning before the feeds went down, it still looked like it was going to happen.
Yes. So Herman is going to be on the block next to Betty. This seems like it may be the swan song for Herman here. It could be the end, but I would not count Herman out yet, personally. Herman has proven himself to be a pretty capable player in the past, And there is a path, I think, for him to potentially survive. I think the path is if he's able to flip Gino and Jace back over to his side, which is not impossible. I mean, it is in their interest to keep him around. Everybody is talking about targeting Jace and Gino next. Almost everybody. They are in. This is a very bad move for them. When we have not really locked that in, but this is a very bad move for them. And so if he can get them to come back over, screw Marty, screw whatever. Marty voted against you. Kevin and Helena didn't pick to save you. Like, come on, come over with me. Let's get the big competitors together like we've been talking about. We can run this thing to the end. I don't think that's an impossible pitch. And I think that Herman is absolutely the kind of player that knows to pitch it and knows how to pitch it. I think that's not impossible. And then he should have Moose. The key is Summer. Can Herman get Summer to his side? That's the difficult thing. Probably no. But as I mentioned in the morning, there is a little bit of a flirtation thing going on. And I, when Summer was looking at potential renoms, she really did prefer Gino or Moose to Herman going up. I think that Summer would like to work with Herman theoretically. As of right now, as of this morning, Summer did have a conversation saying she is voting Herman out. That is her intention right now. But if Herman is able to work on her, theoretically, he could maybe get Summer, grab Gino and Jace, have Moose as well, and a 4-3 vote could save him. That's his only path forward. It is a long shot, but I don't think it's impossible. You never know in this house. So obviously, Josh, Kevin, and Helena should be complete locks to vote Herman out at this point. Maybe if he did some massive work, he could expose Kevin and flip Josh against Kevin and Helena somehow, but that's a much more difficult play in my eyes. So we will see.
We'll see. We'll see. I'm sure there'll be more long updates throughout the rest of the week.
Yes. But so for now, we'll see how Herman is able to handle this situation. Will he be able to pull those votes? I do think it will be difficult, but not impossible. And that's what we're looking at for the rest of the week. Big play by Kevin here. If it lands, if Herman leaves, the game should be wide open for him as we move forward. I'm sure lots to talk about in the roundtable tomorrow night as well in regards to all of that. So big time stuff. We will be back tonight. I will be live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong, watching tonight's episode live with all of you. Hopefully we finally see what actually happened during the double eviction. Hopefully we get an interesting Marty edit. Should be a good time there. And then, of course, after the episode, we'll be live back here on Rob as a Podcast to talk through everything that we saw. Check out my Twitter at Armstrong Taran and check out the Taran Show with Claire this week. Lots of fun there. Mary, where can people find you?
You can find me everywhere at Frail Mary, and you can check out our Riverdale coverage over at Kowski Cast with myself and Kirsten McInnes. And if you didn't check it out already, I was guesting on the News AF podcast last week. So feel free to check that out if you want some fun news stories from me.
All right. Thank you all so much for joining us here today. And I will see all of you next time.